start at the very top, and talk through what you're doing with Bud Light.
Yeah, I'm super excited to join Bud Light and really bring home Bud Light to Philly, right? We're all excited about the celebration. We're all excited about the game, but our ability to bring Bud Light to the city and allow the people of the city to enjoy it, it will be absolutely amazing. And really, it's all about the parade, right? So we got to win first, and then we're able to have that citywide parade. And Bud Light is here really to make the parade much more enjoyable. So we're certainly excited about that.
Man, and if last time was any indication, what a parade it would be.
It will, so last time was super special for me because I wasn't a part of the parade, but I was a part of the group that, kind of welcomed the guys to the art museum there. But this year is even more special because when I joined with Bud Light, the first thing they said, can you help load the truck? Can you get Bud Light ready for the great event, for the parade? And now, which was, I guess, in hindsight, the easy part, now we need the guys to go out there and win the game. And then we can all enjoy the Bud Light that I loaded in the trucks.
Awesome. They're putting you to work, truly to work.
That's right.
You thought retirement was going to be easy.
Not easy.
Okay, so I feel like everybody, we got this, we have this thing. I'm a huge Eagles fan, Brian. I watched you in some of the best years of my life, absolutely hands down. And just all of those teams were so special, that you were on. I think we have this really interesting thing that we're saying this year, the whole It's a Philly thing, that's taken off. I'm curious, what does It's a Philly thing mean to you?
Well, when you think back to a couple of years ago when we went to the Super Bowl 17-18, it was an underdog thing. Nobody respected us. Nobody liked us. And it was an underdog thing. It was kind of us against the world. And I think this It's a Philly thing is bringing that whole momentum that we had during that campaign back. It is a Philly thing. It is a thing that we share. It's special to us. It's the thing that bonds us together. It's sports. It's football. It's being part of this community. It's the passion. It's the love for the game. It's all the things that make Philadelphia and the surrounding area super special to be a player and to be a fan. And so when I think of It's a Philly thing, I think of all those things because even when I go back, I live in New York now, but when I go back, you start to get that tingling. You start to get that feeling. And of course, by the time that you get around the stadium and the parking lot, and the time that you get into the stadium, you understand it. It is a Philly thing. It's the energy, it's the passion, it's the love for the game of football and sports in general. And it's just great to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, and how is it to obviously experience it? I mean, after being such a central figure for so long, in that sports story, how is it for you to experience that as a fan these days?
It's a different feeling because as a player, you have some result, you have something to do with the result, right? And then as a fan, you're like, hey, all I can do is cheer the guys on. All I can do is give them my love, my passion through my cheering, through my support in that way. And so it's certainly different, but at the same time, it's the same feeling. When they win, you feel great, love for the game, love for all the players. And when you lose, similar to all the other fans, I hate everybody. Nothing's going to be good enough. My day is ruined. And so it's really about that love. It's a little bit about that love. And as a player, you have the love for the game. You have the love for the fans and respect for your city and what you're representing. And now as a fan, I have love for winning. I have love for supporting our guys and making sure that I can do everything I can so that whatever needs to be done on my end, I've done that so they can win a football game.
So, you mentioned losing, and that brings up my next question. I mean, that 2005 Super Bowl, that was, one of it was just an intense game, absolutely intense battle of Super Bowl. And you have such a unique experience, obviously, of being coached by Andy Reid in the situation that now Philadelphia and the city of Philadelphia and Eagles fans are going up against. like I'm wondering if you could just talk through what that 2005 Super Bowl was like.
Brandon, we were on such a good roll there for a long time. We were in a good roll. You and I, we were connected, we were bonding, and then you hit me in the
I'm
face
sorry.
with the bad Super Bowl memories. But no,
it wasn't bad though. Your touchdown pass at the end of the third quarter, like going into the fourth quarter, it was a brilliant moment.
When I think back to that game, I think about all the times that we had failed to get to that point. I think 3 or 4 NFC Championship games that we had lost that didn't enable us to get to that game. And we think about all the work that we put into that season. You bring T.O. over. There's a different type of training camp, a different type of season. I mean, when you think about it, I think we won maybe 13 games that year. In half of those 13 games that we won, we didn't play in the fourth quarter. I mean, a bunch of the games we didn't even play in much of the third quarter. So we were blowing teams out. That's how good of a team we were. And so when you think about, I think back to that time and playing in the game, there's a couple of things that just pop out immediately. You don't realize how big the game is until you actually play in it, because it's so different than a regular season game. Just like preseason is different from the regular season, it's totally different from a playoff game. It's totally different from a regular season game as well. And so there was a huge magnitude there. One of the things as a player, it almost felt like I wasn't even playing in the game. It felt like I was a part of the game, but I wasn't playing. And maybe that was a result of not winning. Maybe that was a result of not having the same amount of carries as normal, things like that. But it felt different to me. But I'll tell you this, just like anybody else would say, losing that game after working so hard to get there, that's one of those things that you never forget. You never forget that pain in that locker room after the game. You never forget the group of guys, because one of the things that you realize as a player in every sport, that you have really 1 year with this exact set of guys, right? Most of the guys will come back, 60, 70% will come back, but your team as a whole will never be the same. And that just the different names and personalities, that dynamic changes. So I really think back, and I think back about how much I enjoyed being with the guys that year, how much just being around the guys meant to me, and what we were able to do just to get to that game. It was super special. Obviously, unfortunately, we didn't win it, but we still did so many special things that year. And so it's always tough for me to home back to that time where things didn't work out for us.
See, I think from a fan's perspective, though, like, it's kind of a continuum, of course, like we needed it's not that we needed it, but it helped make Eagles fans today who they are in a lot of ways, like adversity and like losing on such a big stage and everything like that. And it kind of made us chippier than we already were. We already were pretty chippy,
Yeah. One of the things about Eagles fans is, and players too, I mean, I use this throughout my career, we build a chip on our shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And that's a good thing at times. For me, it was a very good thing because it kept me motivated. And so I think as fans, as members of the media, as people that support the team, when you don't win, obviously that's a shortcoming. You want to win games, but we also have the ability to go out there and show our passion because we didn't win. And I think that's a good thing for the fans as well.
Awesome. So I have my final question here. It is an Andy Reid question, just because, that's the story. Like, there's a lot of stories, man. So obviously, there's so many legendary Andy Reid stories from his time in Philadelphia, continuing into his time in, now in Kansas City. So I have this question, like, I'm super curious about it. I have to ask this. What is your favorite meal that you've ever shared with Andy Reid?
Oh man, one of the things that Andy Reid says right before we end our Saturday meeting is, "I'll buy you guys a cheeseburger." He always says that. It's been kind of well documented on some of the things, some of the podcasts and things like that. But one of the things that I know about Andy is that passionate, loves his players, loves his guys. He loves to eat too, and I'm similar in that way as well. And so when I think about some of the meals that we've shared, it's really those Saturday night meals where he's not coaching, he's not teaching technique, he's not giving us X's and O's. He's just sitting as a man, having conversation with another man, young men, younger men. And those are always the best conversation. When we're just talking about having a meal, eating a burger, whatever it is,
Life.
but having conversations about his kids, having conversations about my life, my family, things like that.
Yeah.
That's what makes Andy Reid such a beloved figure, not only in Philadelphia, but if you look across the landscape of the NFL, across our country, I think a lot of people love Andy Reid and what he's been able to do over the last 20 years of coaching football.
That's awesome. Brian, I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so much. This was awesome. And also just congratulations. Congrats on your children's book. I think it's such a cool project. And, wish you all the best and success in it.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Brandon. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Awesome. Appreciate the time. Thank you. Thanks, Jake.